Readings from A Course in Miracles, Workbook for Students, Part 1, Review 2, Lesson 86. These ideas are for review today. Only God's plan for salvation will work. It is senseless for me to search wildly for salvation. I've seen it in many people and in many things, but when I reached for it, it was not there. I was mistaken about where it is. I was mistaken about what it is. I will undertake no more idle seeking. Only God's plan for salvation will work, and I will rejoice because His plan can never fail. These are some suggested forms for applying this idea specifically. God's plan for salvation will save me from my perception of this. This is no exception in God's plan for my salvation. Let me perceive this only in the light of God's plan for salvation. So again, you can, or you may use these statements and apply them to whatever seems to be happening in your life. So when we perceive a certain situation, we're only perceiving it from perhaps our own reference point. So when we expand our awareness and when we trust in God's plan for our salvation, we will be saved from this particular perception. So whatever is happening in your life, whether it is career transition or it is a relationship issue, and sometimes we do go through very dark times. I've definitely experienced these changes many times, over and over, but I've always leaned on God. I've always felt the love and support. And so when the external circumstances seem to be very challenging, go within, knowing that the light is within, the truth is within, and apply these lessons, these statements. Just simply say, whatever you're seeing, whatever you're experiencing, this is no exception in God's plan for my salvation. So it doesn't really matter what it is, how small or how big. There is no exception. Because God is all and everything, and is the keeper of all that exists. Every grain of sand, every star, every drop of water in the ocean doesn't belong to us. All is in God's keeping. So you are important. Just apply these statements to whatever's happening. Let me perceive this only in the light of God's plan for salvation. Second review for Lesson 86. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Holding grievances is an attempt to prove that God's plan for salvation will not work. Yet only His plan will work. By holding grievances, I am therefore excluding my only hope of salvation from my awareness. I would no longer defeat my own best interest in this insane way. I would accept God's plan for salvation and be happy. Specific applications for this idea might be in these forms. I'm choosing between misperception and salvation as I look on this. I see grounds for grievances in this. I will not see the grounds for my salvation. This calls for salvation, not attack. So when we have these grievances, when we're holding on to these grievances, it is going against God's will. This is not God's will for us. So we have to remind ourselves that we're choosing between misperception and salvation as we look on a certain circumstance. So sending my love and many blessings to you, and happy learning. Only God's plan for salvation will work. We can twist it, turn it however we wish. We can hide from the light, but eventually we will be found.